Yeah, I mean, there's some that's good. We've got to talk a little bit about you as a person. That's good. But the rest of it, you know, the testimonials, that's good. Testimonials are good. You're using them there. That's brilliant. But people are not interested in you. Okay? These, I'm glad you haven't made these as clickable links. One of the things people often do is they will have either links to Facebook, for example, or Twitter, or LinkedIn, or something else, or you know, British Orthopaedic Society, or some link off to somewhere else. And they'll have them as clickable links, and that's madness. Oh, look, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. People have arrived on your website, and yeah, here as well. So
you don't want them to.
the point is, people are there who potentially. So I've turned up with my dicky knee, and I'm thinking, who can I see? Right, somehow I've ended up on your website. The last thing you want me to do is think, oh, what's this birdie thing? Or let's go and see what he's saying on LinkedIn. Let's go and see what his Facebook thing is. Because if I go, the chances of me coming back are minimal. So you do not want any outside distractions.
All that's there for is apparently improves your SEO basically. So you link into Google.
We'll talk a little bit about SEO later. The simple thing about SEO is don't worry about it. But the point is you don't want them to leave. So don't do anything that will allow them to leave. All right. Similarly, if you have any coverage in the press, what I would suggest you do is, say in the Daily Mail or whatever it is, yeah, get a copy of that as an image from the Daily Mail website, or take a picture of it as a piece of paper or something, and then put that on your sites.
Where?
Anywhere. The point is,
I'm not sure the blog is working because I do put it on my Facebook stuff.
yeah, but my point is, if you've got a link to the Daily Mail article, they'll leave and they'll go and they won't come back. Similarly, one day that will be taken down and disappear. So that promotion that you've got is now gone, and you've got a broken link. But if you've got a copy of it, the patient stays on your website, and secondly, it can never disappear. Do you see? The other thing is, you know, all this stuff isn't, again, we talked about focusing on the conditions people are looking for. What comprises the bulk of your workload, yeah? What does ACL reconstruction mean? We know what it means. But, you know, Joe Public doesn't.
I haven't got a clue.
Yeah? And ACL reconstruction is one of those sort of grey areas. Some people will know about it, some people won't. So, I don't know is the honest answer. But you're not trying to make a diagnosis here. What you are trying to do is to get people with symptoms that are in your area of specialty to come and see you. In the same way as in the NHS practice. The only difference is no GP filtering them. So you want them to come and see you. After that, you make a diagnosis and you treat and manage appropriately, or refer on somebody else or whatever. So don't fall into the trap of sort of trying to make a diagnosis online. The conditions we talked about, these, you know, the 5 conditions for whatever it is we talked about of the LAL list, they should be at the top here. So when Doris arrives here worrying about her hip, it says worried about hip pain or long-standing hip pain, something of that nature, and it's right there at the top. Okay, blog, nobody's interested. A blog is a good idea for other reasons, but we'll talk about. Ben, do you want to offer some thoughts?
Yeah. So, the immediate thing on here, the thing that stands out straight away is your name. Really, nobody really cares. So what I would do, and this is an instant fix you could probably do now. I would remove that strip with your name, and I'd put your name into the top left with the Nuffield Health. So I'd put it above that, and then just below that you've got your name. I'd double the size of the landline and remove the mobile. I'd remove this sliding image completely and remove these social media icons. Because this, you've got your 3 main focus points here. So that is what I want to be looking at first. I don't want to be looking at these images.
As it comes up,
I want this.
And what would you have instead? Any background? No background? Just a.
You don't need an image.
Ben, carry on a second.
You don't need an image there. You can have an image a bit further down if you want, but at that stage, the most annoying thing about the sliding images is it's a distraction. So I'm trying to look at this text, but I can't because this image keeps changing and it's annoying me. And so what I will do is subconsciously I won't read it, and I'll just go back. So yeah, I would move these boxes all up to the top and have that. And you know, you could put about Paul there. That's still fine, but I would probably change up the text that's on there so that it's more about what you do for people, not all about you,
me,
because people don't care. Moving down. Yeah, I mean, so the rest of it's okay. It's okay for a homepage. I think the biggest thing for me is you've got 90% of this page. All I can see, I can see on this page three main things that I want to see first, and they're right at the bottom, hidden. So I think that would be an immediate change, and I would be surprised if that didn't make a big difference.
I mean, those boxes are a good idea. Yeah, you've got hip replacement, sports knee injuries, knee replacement. It should be right at the top. Yeah,
It looks good on
easily
mobile.
accessible. And sports knee injury, good. So knee injury, excellent. But who knows? They need a hip replacement.
Yeah, so I've got.
And worse, nobody wants to have a hip replacement.
Strategically speaking, the only reason I put there is because I do a few hip replacements still. Because one of your things on the things we discussed is when you're starting off 2 years ago, see everything and anything,
Yes.
and then filter them off. As you get
Yes.
more specialists, see the things that you want to see.
Yes.
And now I'm in a situation where I'm competing against two other guys who are, with knee surgeons, and they've given up doing other stuff for various reasons. And I probably need to give up doing hips because, like you say, when they look at the three of us, and the two of them are only doing knees, according to the website, they're going to want the guys who only do knees. So probably strategically, I need to get rid of that. It's only there in case someone's seeing me for a private hip replacement. They go on my website,
Sure.
and there's nothing there. It's a bit embarrassing. So I've got to give up doing hips and take it off, or risk people.
You can put it
But that's-
further down the page.
Yeah, that's valuable screen territory. Your top 5 conditions, or 4 or 6, whatever they are, should be bang, 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 bang. So that if people stumble upon your website somehow, they'll say, right, this is the guy for, and here's my problem, my knee. I injured it playing rugby, knee injuries. It's there straight away. And I talk about stumbling upon it because when you actually get paid traffic, so advertising, you'll be sending people to specific pages. And that's what Ben was talking about, is landing pages that are not necessarily easy to get at from the main website. So you might run an advert for somebody with hip pain or a lump in the groin or whatever, and you're sending patients to a particular page which may not be easy to find here, because now you can track it, and all you're talking about on that page is the condition you talk about in the advert, which you're trying to reach. Yeah?
The other thing to mention is obviously the eye is drawn to colour, as well as images. I mean, people's faces particularly draw attention, but the eye's drawn to colour, and then you've got this big purple strip where the eye's drawn to, and you've got 3 outbound links. So you're linking to a different website. If you need to mention these 3 things, that's fine. Mention them, but just don't link to them.
They're only there because that existed on the template, so I tried to find something to put in the template.
So link to even if you link to, again, knee replacement, sports knee, hip replacement, re-link to the same things, it's fine. Because again, on mobile, if we shrink this down, because it's a Wix site, you have to be on a mobile.
You see, that's not work well on mobile.
But it does work on mobile, but you have to be on a mobile.
Yes.
So the point is, you will have scrolled down, so you may have gone past the point of seeing hip replacement. So having the link there again isn't the end of the world.
Let's have a look. Should we look at yours now, Chris? Do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Thanks for that, guys. That's very, very useful, and it's all going to be changed on the time.
Now these, as I said, this is meant to be constructive criticism to show where mistakes are made, yeah? And it's going to be, they're all going to be relevant to all of you. The details might be different, but the same principles will be there. So again, you know, the first thing I would say about this is, how do I contact you? I've got chest pain, whatever it is.
Yeah.
How do I contact you? There's no number there.
Just contact in the middle.
form,
Yeah, but keep it simple, yeah? KISS. Keep it simple. Get that number there, front and centre, where they can see it, and it stays on the page wherever they scroll. So they're reading more about palpitations, talking about palpitations, why they matter, why somebody should seek advice sooner rather than later, etc. They've gone down the page and think, right, okay, this is the guy to see. The number is still there. They either click on it, it can make a call on a mobile, or they've got the number and they can pick up the phone, or they can press click to send email, whatever. But it's right there in front of their face. You make it as easy as possible, so they don't have to sniff around and look.
Yeah.
And always the top right as well. It's just the
Yes.
location that phone numbers are on websites, and I'm always up for standing out from the crowd and being different. But that's one of the things that I think always has to go in the top right, because that's where
Yeah.
people want to look.
Start from best practice. Start from what's accepted best practice, and then make iterative changes and see whether it gets you better results or worse results.
I don't even think I've looked at this since I actually wrote the Word I just, 2 years ago, I sent the guy a Word document, that was it. I don't,
Right. Obviously, the issue with the image is there. You've got a huge. I mean, it's good that you got a picture of you, because that's important, because it, you know, humanises you. But it's taking up far too much space.
yeah.
It could be much smaller. It could be a little bit in the top right there, because again, that's part of best practice. And there could be a lot more content where your name is and the fact that you're a cardiologist.
Yeah, I mean the image size could be worked with, but what I would do is that headline where you've got your name. That needs to go. That's where you would have the headline targeting what you want to be targeting. With the where you've got the consultant cardiologist, maybe 2 or 3 extra lines of text, again drilling down further, and then a button underneath forcing the call to action.
A simple headline there, for example, could be, you know, worried about chest pain, shortness of breath, palpitations. That covers cardiology. That covers everything you do, right?
Yeah.
That headline would make a vast difference if you just change that. Because now people who come to your website, chest pain, shortness of breath, palpitation, that's what you're after.
95%.
So you're already halfway, it's like, I'm at the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They're
each
not-
one of those conditions you can click on.
Yeah, they could click on it and they could read more and all the rest of it. But that's immediately speaking to the person, precisely the person you want.
And,
Yeah.
and in fairness, that's, you know, I think that's a friendly looking image, in the sense of, I think that would work well. It's that's the sort of look you want to go for. So with a good headline and a good call to action, that would make a big difference.
So, obviously I want to get patients to click and get an appointment. So with the breathlessness, for example, is that where you say, oh, if you put in your details, we'll get back to you, and you get a PDF about something? Or
Don't worry about the call to action in a minute.
Okay.
So the first simple thing is get your number up there so it doesn't scroll. It's in the top right, it's there. Change other elements of your website. There are lots of different things that you can do in terms of call to action, and putting in like downloading an ebook or something in and on its own isn't really going to help you very much.
Yeah.
There needs to be a lot of back end stuff, which we'll talk about in more advanced strategies tomorrow.
Okay.
In terms of simple stuff, simply putting your number up there, making changes in terms of, you know, palpitations, chest pain, shortness of breath, fainting, whatever. Your top 4 conditions,
Yeah.
top 3 or top 5, whatever. Putting those up there front and centre will make a big difference. Logos, in case anyone thinks about logos. There's only, you know, the only people interested in your logo is your logo designer. They're happy with it. You'll like it, and your mum. Yeah. Nobody else is interested in your logo. You're a patient, you've got shortness of breath or chest pain, whatever. You come to this website, are you going to look at that logo and think, I want to see this guy? Yeah. Again,
Yeah.
look at it through the prism of your potential patient.
I think the point you're making is valid, and I think that logo, it's a good logo, but I would just shrink it down by half.
And look, the
You
logo
don't
is still
need
on the page,
Yeah.
but your phone number isn't.
Yeah.
You see,
Is the phone number even on there?
it's probably right at the bottom. Oh yeah, no, there's a company number.
I think there's a contact tab or something.
Yeah, so there's the thing. Look, make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
The only thing, you make it difficult. Here am I, I'm worried about this, and you make it as difficult for me as you can to get in
Yeah.
touch with you. The contact form is no bad thing. I think contact form is a good thing, and it's not a bad thing at all that it's on the front page either. But
Do you know, the only
Fine.
contact I've had in 2 years on that was someone secret shopping from
so location services, another tab by the way, which I haven't mentioned that you should have. We talked about again your symptoms up here or conditions. Research and publications, nobody cares. Accreditation societies, nobody cares. Treatment, you should have those conditions at the top there. Implantable cardioverter, defibrillator,
Yeah,
yeah?
not many of those privately.
Not many people are surfing around thinking, I'll have one of those. Yeah? Cardiac resynchronization therapy, we know what it means. Joe Geezer doesn't. Nobody's going to be searching for it.
And on the contact form, would it be good to have a telephone number as well?
Contact form, you want to ask...
I mean, if you look at it, you've got name,
Yeah.
email, message, should you have telephone number as well?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But then these are small things. I mean, you know, you've got a lot of space here which could be used. I mean, one of the classic things that, you know, media people will talk about is white space cells. That's one of their phrases, yeah. And they'll have fancy pictures and horses leaping in the sea and stuff. Well, if that were the case, the best performing website would be blank, wouldn't it, with the telephone number?
And then every patient's got his
So-
home address now.
No, that's
Oh.
That's
where the accountant
Right.
says where the company is registered.
So, I can't remember what else I was going to say. So again, the same things we talked about with Paul there are applicable.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a classic example of the web designer has made it mobile friendly, but it's not mobile friendly.
Yeah. Do you know what,
Because
that's been bugging me. I did notice that right at the beginning. I haven't done anything about it over 2 years. No, I just thought, oh, that looks crap. Never done.
Don't get that.
Yeah, I was going to say this is probably about the mobile size roughly, maybe there. So you know, they've loaded up the website and they've got your logo, a navigation menu, a picture of you, and then they can just about see your name. You know, you've got no headline, you've got nothing to engage them. There's you just hit back and see who else is there. You just go back to Google, have a quick look at some of the other competitors, and you know what you would probably do psychologically is say, I'm not quite sure this is right. I'll have a look at some of the other people, and I might come back to this. And at that point, you've lost them because once they look around at some of the others, if they're mobile friendly, they're going to inquire there.
Put yourself in the patient's shoes. I mean, I'm happy to look at these later as well. We don't have to do too many now. I've got another colleague coming as well I was going to speak to you. But put yourself in your patient's shoes. Imagine what it's like to have a cataract, a dodgy knee, something, chest pain, and you arrived at your website. Then ask yourself, would I go and see this guy? Is there anything here on this page that makes me think this is the guy I want to see? And if there's anything that's putting you off, such as scary people peering over your laparotomy incision, or pictures of spooky hands over faces, if there's anything that puts you off, it's got to go. If there's anything that's not contributing, such as your logo, get rid of it.
Can you show us like a random website of anyone who you think is a good design? Just anyone.
Well, I've been involved in, as has Ben, working with lots of clients, but I can't show you what they are because of confidentiality. People don't like to talk about their private practice outside, yeah? So in the same way as I wouldn't, the only reason we're critiquing your sites here amongst all of you is because you're comfortable with that. If nobody wanted that...
I don't mean medical practice, I just
Right.
mean like, you know, just something like, for instance, I don't know, let's just try chest pain and I live in...
Oh, what, to find
Harrow.
somebody else that's done it well?
Yeah, just
I think it'd be a long journey.
Definitely. Is it, I've got
I know
Chris,
none of
Chris, mine, because mine, I've done similar to what Chris, in fact, I didn't design mine, and it was done exactly the same. I provided a marketing person somebody from the West Midlands who gave her a Word document, and she said she wants some pictures, and that was it. And I haven't visited this website. I think I visited it maybe once or twice a year, and I have no tracking on it.
Right.
So
We'll have a very
So-
quick look because
so-
because we're running out of
yeah,
time,
but
and
we
I don't
usually
mind
get
doing
a-
this afterwards as well if you
no,
want
that'd
to
be
one on
very
one.
useful, 'cause,
But again, okay, so there should be a number up here. Telephone number top right. This is
Okay.
best practice stuff, yeah.
okay,
Telephone number.
yeah.
The picture's not bad because you're actually looking happy and smiling and like a human
Do you
being,
need all
which
these
is a very
people in
good thing.
background or not?
No.
Because
The
because
shadowy pictures here of you operating
Yeah.
are a distraction.
Yeah.
And the only reason this picture is good
Mm.
is because everyone looks so happy. It's a pleasant picture.
Do you need all the other people in? Because I had this discussion with her when I said, and I said, well, you just have a picture of myself. She said, no, well, actually, it looks better. So I just like your opinion on.
Well, again, to come
Because
back
none of
to
those people work
first
with me
thing is to
privately.
come back. My opinion doesn't matter any more than
Yeah.
yours does, or even that's based on more experience. It's what the results show. So we would need to test it. But in general terms,
Yeah.
like I said, the picture. The redeeming thing about the picture is that you're all looking happy and smiling.
Okay.
The big downer that remains is that you're all in theatre scrubs, and nobody, apart from a few rare conditions, wants an operation.
Agreed. Okay.
They want to come and see you and know that you're going to make them better, ideally without surgery.
Okay.
So don't put the surgery in front of them.
Okay.
Are you Leicester's leading ear, nose and throat specialist?
Oh, that's what she told us.
Can you claim that?
Well, that's what
I think it's such a general thing to say, claim that I wouldn't worry. What does leading mean? Don't know. I wouldn't worry about that.
So a photo, not surgery.
So again, look, we've got more surgery going on, yeah. And none of that is contributing to anything.
Okay.
Do you see? We've got a list of things. Again, we're not focusing on what you can do.
Right.
We've got a telephone number that's only just appeared at the bottom and is overshadowed by everything else. And email address.
So is that a problem, having an email address on them?
Well, remember what I said earlier about, you are Leicester ENT surgeon, so it should be Tracy or secretary or somebody at Leicester ENT surgeon.
Okay.
Yeah?
I mean, I wouldn't normally put a email address on the website anyway, just because you will get spam.
Spam to hell.
So you have a contact form and
So
a phone number. You make it easy for people to get in touch, but the email address itself isn't really required.
okay, so you don't need an email address on the web page, but the contact form will directly take you to that email. So if I didn't have an email on there,
You'd have a button saying email us,
correct.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have to change that email, then, would you?
but you
Because-
should.
but you should.
Because when you reply to people, when you send people an email, they're going to see the Gmail address. That's what looks unprofessional.
Okay, so
You want-
change to
As a to and a from, it's very unprofessional.
right.
And again, at the top, you should have the phone numbers, the contact. Where, how do I get in touch with this guy?
I mean, this
I
is-
like him. He seems like a happy, decent guy. How do I get in touch with him? I'm having a poke around and find him.
This is a good example of doing a design different for different sake, and you've got your logo in the top right-hand corner, which is not where it should go. Logos should go in the top left if they go anywhere. And again, I would half the size of that and replace the top right with a phone number
Okay.
of a similar size. You want it nice and big and easy.
Right.
And here's the about. Again, it's talking about you
Yeah.
and your research and this and that and the other,
Yeah.
which is irrelevant to Joe Patient.
Okay.
And it's got that picture in the background of you operating, which is scary if anybody looks at it carefully. And if they don't look at it carefully, it's still a distraction. And
Okay.
it makes the text hard to read, which is also very small. And it's got clinic locations, but and as a contact us, this is you need this kind of stuff there, and that's fine. But I haven't found out what you do. You're an ear, nose, and throat specialist, but I've come here with say I want my tonsils out,
Yeah.
or I'm daddy and I want you to take out Junior's tonsils, for
Yeah.
example, a common thing.
Yeah.
Nowhere does it say I take out tonsils until you start digging down and really
Tonsils.
working through it. And there you go, it's at the bottom right here.
Okay.
Yeah. So find the top 3, 5, whatever small number of conditions that comprise 85, 95% of your clinical workload. Some of those will be named clinical conditions that people will know, such as tonsillectomy.
So that's what I get at. So the discussion earlier about symptom-based or condition-based. So for example, a patients know about tonsils, so
Right.
they don't call it sore throat. With my
So
tonsils.
if they know about it, put tonsils there. So we know about
nose,
cataracts.
patients complain about blocked noses.
Yep.
But that may be polyps, may be there may be a number of things that may be common things are common. So it's usually allergy,
Right.
polyps,
Mm.
or mechanical.
Yep.
So how would I, in one term,
Block nose.
just block nose?
Your goal is not to make a diagnosis. Your
Yeah,
goal
okay.
is not to say, right, this guy needs a, he needs a bio, he needs a washout, he needs this, that, and the
He's
other.
got-
If
he's
you want to
got
get them
blocked
in,
nose. Yeah.
you'll see them and assess them as you normally do, and then you will treat them according to clinical need and whatever. You'll make a diagnosis, you'll refer them on, or whatever it is.
That's a very, that's a really good point, and I can relate because I suffer massively from blocked nose all the time.
Lots of people do.
And
It's the numbers. Just
I would,
Do you want to book an appointment? I don't know how to do it, sadly.
but the point is, I wouldn't go searching for how to fix it. I would
No.
go searching for I've got a blocked nose all the time.
Okay.
That's the difference. You've got to get yourself in the
So you got to put
person.
things as patient. And it's difficult because we're not patient.
No,
It's
exactly.
like we're clinicians and we think, and but we're able to think clinically, and we don't naturally think, we innately think like a patient.
We'll get a
So,
non-medic to help
so if
me.
I went to see a urologist,
Get a
I wouldn't
non-medic to
put
help me.
blood in urine, I'd automatically put hematuria.
Yeah.
Because that's because I'm a medic. Yeah, you know what I
Indeed.
mean? So,
But to
generally-
actually take things a step further, what you practically do, you wouldn't even do that. Because
Oh,
urology is a specialty, it's not like a tertiary
Yeah.
referrals thing.
Yeah.
It's everywhere, and you'd have a mate and you'd pick up
Yeah,
the
of
phone.
course you, yeah. Okay. And then can I ask about the name? Because you mentioned about surgery and you alluded to that patients don't want an operation. The name of the thing is Leicester ENT surgeon. Is that a problem?
Not really, but you don't need to rub the fact that they might need an operation in their
Okay,
face.
so basically, you could keep the website as Leicester ENT surgeon because otherwise it's just this.
That's fine.
It's my company set up on that name you see. The problem is, does that therefore imply, and does it put people off to surgeon?
No,
No.
they know that guys who fix ENT problems are ENT surgeons. That's
Okay.
fine. But what I'm saying is, what you're rubbing their noses in, rubbing their faces, is the
Yeah.
fact they might need an operation.
So instead of that picture there, you could put the clinic picture in a suit, so it's not a surgical picture. Get rid of the ENT surgeon logo because
I mean, I don't think get rid of it.
Telephone number.
I mean,
Telephone-
it's frankly, it's not lending much to it.
okay.
You,
What you're asking, if
Yeah.
I can,
Yeah,
sorry
please,
Ben,
please.
what you're asking is, what can I do to make it better?
Correct.
Throw it in the bin and start again.
Okay.
Well,
That's
Because
what I would
no little changes, you'd have to change so much.
You have to just redesign it.
Yes.
And so what I'm getting at, and what Vivek said, and I really appreciate that, and I want you to be, I want you critical, I don't mind, and I prefer that.
It's
What
been,
I'm getting is, I've had, somebody's designed this for me and taken a fair bit of money to get a response, throw it in the bin and start again, and it just went, well, how do I know? How do I know if I go to somebody else and they'll design something that they think is good,
Right.
and then they go to somebody else and throw it in
well,
the
this
bin.
is
So
I was going to say this is where educating yourself on how it should look
Yeah.
is important,
yeah.
and you choose a web designer who you tell them what it does, not the other way around.
Because
Because ultimately, if the web designer
Yeah.
will often say, "What do you want it to look like?"
Okay.
It's completely the wrong question.
Correct. Because what I've learned from today, and probably the most useful thing, is what you
This is
said
gonna
right at the
hurt, I can
beginning.
tell.
Right at the beginning is the whole, as we do with any kind of study and what kind of sign, is what's the objective of this? And the objective is very clear: is to get patients through the door. So the objective of the website is to get patients to book an appointment. And I wasn't asked that when she sat down with me for an hour and a half, 2 hours. She goes, "Okay, tell me about yourself. We want some nice pictures of yourself. We want what you." This was never mentioned.
The thing
the
is-
purpose, and so that's where I've missed
The
that.
thing is, most people don't understand that. Most people are
Mm.
not clear thinking. And it's not that you guys are not clear thinking, it's that you don't know what you don't know. Yeah?
Right.
You're experts at looking after patients.
Okay.
But think about what you're doing. You spent 10, 20 years, whatever, in your training. You are now experts at doing your thing. Yeah?
Yeah.
The stents, the cardioversions, the this, that, and the other. That's what you're
Yeah.
expert. And now you become a consultant 4 years ago, 10 years ago, 1 year ago. You've launched a business, but you know nothing about business.
Yeah.
You're selling your expertise fine, but you know nothing about how to run the
Not a clue.
business. And that's what that's what the whole point of this crash course is say, look, this is all the shit that you've got to know, which nobody ever tells you, and most of them don't even know themselves. And one of the things about web design stuff, and I'm sure Ben will agree with this, is that most web design people are graphics designers. Okay, so they design magazines or
Right.
pretty graphics. It looks
Okay.
great, yeah?
Yeah.
And designing a website that looks pretty is no different to that.
Right.
It looks pretty. But you now know, all of you now know a vast amount more than you did to start with.
Yeah.
And you appreciate that you want the website to do something.
To be effective, not necessarily.
So it's about function. They don't get the form and function bit thing. They'll put up a website that looks pretty. There you go. You're happy because it looks nice. And until today, you probably were quite happy. So,
I don't think it's generally
You know?
patience.
but the
I
point,
think
but,
generally
but
people-
now you know you're thinking about it in more detail and more depth, and now you realise what the problem is. Yeah, you've had your eyes open.
Because as well as these, we all have website profiles on, you know, BMI, Spire, Bupa. We have those as well, don't we?
You should do.
So should they be taught a kind of the same emphasis on those? So, for example, on my Spire page, on my Bupa Finder thing, they've got bits
Well,
about me.
that's not to do with you. They will do that in their format.
Yeah. So you'll have
You
very
have very
yes.
little control.
To answer your question, yes.
Yeah.
Ideally, you would try and steer them as much as possible, but they will have a format. They'll have a template that fits the rest
They
of their
do,
graphics
absolutely.
design.
So you just
And
you
so
remove
what
that
I
and
would, but you can make some differences. So
Okay.
first of all, even if it's crap,
yeah,
it's better than nothing. It's extra territory.
yeah,
Secondly, you can change some of the content. So you've got a decent picture of you,
yeah.
you've got a decent phone number and decent email address, and you focus the content. You're talking about the 3 or the 5 conditions that you want to attract patients for. So, you know, trauma knee, osteoarthritic knee, whatever, you know, the bang, bang, bang. And that's all you talk about. You talk a paragraph of each of those,
Yeah.
and that's it, because that's the majority of your
I
work.
don't know,
Can you
it's
link-
not my big finder. I think when I first did it a couple of years ago, I had like heart failure and pacemaker or something like that.
And that's what
And-
everyone does.
And I was way down, and then put chest pain, breathlessness, dizziness, etc. And now I'm like second.
Ta-da!
So if someone looks at cardiologist Bournemouth, you'll be the second cardiologist.
Can you link back to your main
Or
website?
Bupa in the area.
My website.
Can you link
Just
back
because
to your
I
main
expanded the
website
list
from
of
those
keywords that
sites?
I associate myself
The
with.
key.
Yes, you have to ask them. They won't always do it. But yeah, so Ben, do you want to?